First, want to give the disclaimer when I share this story that I'm not asking for advice. I'm not asking for people to tell me what to do, how to feel, or how to think. And if you don't respect that boundary, I will block you. Yes, I understand. Why post it to the internet if you don't want to hear what people have to say? You're right. But guess what? I can do the fuck I want to do. And you can also do what the fuck you want to do and not respect my boundary. And again, I will block you. With that being said, let's get started. In 2012, I dated a guy that was a Christian youth pastor. And see, side note, when you don't take time to heal from having been in an abusive relationship, which I had been in with my abusive ex-husband, who I left in 2008 and divorced in 2009, when you don't take the time to pause, be alone, and to heal, you just kind of tumbleweed through life, going from abusive relationship to abusive relationship. The cycle never ends. So this Christian youth pastor was no different. So he was a player, and he would string me along by saying things like, well, I really like you, but God hasn't told me to have a serious relationship with you yet. And because I was still so desperate to have a man and to not be alone and to prove that someone wanted me, because my ex would always tell me that no one would, I was trying to constantly do things to win his approval, and nothing worked. He was just dangling a carrot in front of my face. So I met his sister, and his sister loved me. So I thought, this has got to be some improvement. You know, it wasn't. A lot of times abusers do that shit to try to make you think that things are moving forward, and they're not. So he invited me to a house party, and I'm thinking, oh, cool. He's inviting me to meet his friends. Got to be more improvement. It was not more improvement. So they take out this homemade moonshine that they had, and I took a shot. We all took a shot. We're cheering. We're having a good time. The second shot that he hands to me, I remember taking it, and I literally remember looking up at the ceiling and the sound that I hit when my body hit the ground. Next thing I knew, I woke up, and it was almost cartoon-like, the way his eyes pierced through the dark. I could see him on top of me, and he was having sex with me. I immediately started crying, and I kept saying, I didn't want to have sex with you yet. I wasn't ready for this yet. And he got off of me, and he was disgusted, and he was like, I'm never having sex with you again if you're going to cry like this. You're such a big crybaby. Now, me, again, being unhealed, internalized that, and I thought it was my fault. And I beat myself up because, man, I thought he's never going to date me now because I'm a crybaby. He then told me this story about how it was me who came on to him. So that's how that all happened. And me, again, you know, not being educated in the different types of grape, assumed, well, it must have been my fault. It still didn't feel right to me. So I remember telling a family member what happened, and their reaction was, well, you shouldn't have been drinking. I mean, that's what you get because you shouldn't have been drinking. Next time, don't drink. You can't report him because it's going to take you away from work. You're a single mom. You can't afford to miss work. It's going to cause a bunch of issues, and you're just not ready for that yet. So I just figured, you know what, you're right. If I go to court, it's going to be my fault anyway. The police are going to blame me, because I was drinking. And he said I came on to him, so it's my fault. Long story short, we were talking about something, and the conversation came up about what happened, and all of a sudden the story changed, and I was like, yeah, you remember you said I came on to you? And he was like, you didn't come on to me. And he said it, and he slipped, and he stopped himself. So what I thought was confirmed, but I didn't say anything because, again, I still figured it was my fault because I was drinking. We wound up not talking anymore, and I wound up blocking him, or he wound up blocking me on social media. I don't remember. But years later, he sent me another friend request, which I immediately declined and blocked him. And in my own time, I have healed, and as I've learned and grown and educated myself, I've learned that it's not my fault. That's why I use my platform to talk about abuse and toxic relationships and even things like this, because I know that there's a new generation of women going out and dating, and I want to tell them the things that I wish that I knew. I don't care what you were wearing. I don't care how much you were drinking. I don't care where you were or what you were doing. The assault that happened to you was not your fault. And if you don't remember giving consent, you did not give consent. And as I've shared my story over the years, I've had women say, well, that's why I never drink. That's why I don't go anywhere. Women in every circumstance have been sexually assaulted and will continue, unfortunately, to be sexually assaulted. It has nothing to do with clothes, where you are, if you were drinking, if you're a moral or religious woman, that has nothing to do with it. The amount of assaults that have happened to religious people are out of this world. That's a whole nother video I could do. But the point is, it wasn't your fault. And I need you to know that and believe that.